My name is Marianne. At the start of last year, I overindulged in gourmet food and gained 3 kilograms. So, here I am at 45, dieting in anticipation of the upcoming holidays. My reasoning was simple: if I lose 3 kilos now, then gaining them back during the long holiday won't be a problem. Right? That's the point, isn't it? Ah. You must be joking. There is so much delicious food from Christmas to New Year's, it's a happy problem. I probably end up buying myself Valentine's chocolates too. Oops, I'm drooling a little. Looks like I'm going to gain weight again this year. Oh dear. Well, today I'd like to share a winter story from when I was 25 years old. After several years of dating, my engagement to my boyfriend, Scott, was finally decided. I introduced him to my parents. That was the so-called marriage greeting. My parents liked Scott immediately, and the marriage discussions should have begun smoothly. But there was a problem. When my older sister Sally, 2 years older than me, came home from work, she became strangely fixated on Scott. When you're sisters, you can sense each other's feelings, and I could tell immediately. She had fallen in love with him at first sight. At first, I hoped it was just a fleeting crush. But when my sisters took Scott's hand, she blushed and held it a bit too tightly. Even when she spoke, she had a dreamy, faraway look in her eyes. It didn't seem appropriate for a sister to behave that way toward her younger sister's fiancé, but maybe it was unconscious. Human emotions are uncontrollable, after all. So I pretended not to notice, believing she wouldn't pursue anything serious. However, after Scott left that night, my sister, fresh out of the bath and wrapped only in a towel, confronted me. You should call off the engagement, she declared. According to her, Scott was a philanderer, and he could find someone more suitable. She continued to slander him without any basis. Why do you think he's a playboy? I asked. It's a woman's intuition, she said confidently. My sister had never even had a boyfriend before. How could I believe in her woman's intuition when she had no experience with men? So I chose to trust Scott, the man I'd known and loved for years. I laughed off her warning with a light, yeah, be careful, and didn't take it seriously. Since then, Scott began visiting our home frequently. He said he wanted to build a good relationship with my family, and my parents were pleased. I was happy too, until I learned that my sister was trying to build a different kind of relationship with him. According to Scott, when he wasn't around, she would grab his arm, press her chest against him, and say, "Don't you think Marianne is immature?" She even asked for his contact information and once deliberately fell down to expose her underwear. Scott told me it was so exaggerated it was almost funny, but he would have been terrified if he'd taken it seriously. My sister, however, seemed to believe she had a chance. Scott couldn't be harsh with her since she was my sister, and she used that to her advantage. Every time they met, she spoke to him in a sweet, teasing voice. Her infatuation wasn't just about love at first sight. Scott worked at a large company, was dependable, attractive, and financially stable. It's exactly my type, she once said. It gives me a sense of security. My parents said nothing about her behavior. In fact, that wasn't new. They'd never said anything to my sister. Honestly, Sally has always been the type who can't do anything right. If you ask her to warm up side dishes, she somehow melt the container because she uses a non-heat-resistant plastic dish. She was bad at studying, terrible at sports, and often skipped swimming classes with excuses like hurting her foot, feeling unwell, or having skin issues. She wasn't particularly pretty either, but because she was the eldest daughter, my parents treated her specially. Meanwhile, I was always the one quietly pushed into the role of supporting her. I was told to make her stand out, but never too much. To make her seen, but not outshine her. It was unfair. But maybe my parents pitied her, thinking she couldn't do anything on her own. I, on the other hand, was efficient and capable, perhaps too capable. Adults find no joy in teaching someone who already knows what to do. So I learned to manage quietly. Sometimes, I even pretended to be incompetent just to avoid making her feel small. By my late teens, I'd had enough. I realized if I kept living that way, I'd fail my own exams, my own life. So I started resisting my parents and acting on my own will. My sister didn't like that. She resented losing her special treatment, but our relationship never turned openly hostile. We still talked, and even gave her advice sometimes. Our family was strange, overprotective toward her, slightly resentful toward me, but I still thought we were normal enough. Until Scott came along. Everything changed because Scott didn't reciprocate Sally's feelings. I can't accept that my younger sister is getting married before me. That's what Sally shouted to our parents on the eve of my wedding. Don't say that, my father said gently. You will find a good partner soon too. I agree with that, my mother added. It's not like that, Sally. Normally, the older sister gets married first, but the wedding is tomorrow, my mother protested. What are you saying? Don't you care about me? Sally cried. Ella be the pitiful older sister who gets surpassed by her younger sister. That night, I listened quietly from the hall as my family argued. Should my sister really get married first? If I waited for her to find someone, I'd be middle-aged before I ever walked down the aisle. I talked on she vented, things could calm down. Then I heard my mother's voice. I understand. Both your father and I will not attend the wedding tomorrow. Please be satisfied with that, Sally. What? I froze. Both my parents agreed not to attend my wedding, to apologize to my sister instead. What was this? It felt like my family had joined some kind of cult, centered around my sister. This was beyond indulgence. Still, my sister sighed unhappily and said, Fine. Ella. Toby continued, a compromise, they said. Let her have a wedding no one acknowledges. She clearly didn't want me to marry Scott, probably because she herself had feelings for him. Unbelievable. A wedding without my parents' presence, all because of my sister's unrequited love, was actually becoming reality. The wedding day arrived. Despite it being a day of celebration, I could hardly sleep. It wasn't excitement keeping me awake, but anxiety, memories of my sister's selfish tears and my parents' so keen decision still haunting me. I never forget the satisfied smile on Sally's face when my parents told her they wouldn't attend. At the venue, I explained everything to Scott and his parents. My parents won't be attending, he said softly. My sister opposes this marriage, so my family will not be there. It was a heartbreaking thing to admit. Scott's parents were standing to silence. Who could believe there were parents who'd escaped their own daughter's wedding? For a moment, the air felt heavy. Then my mother-in-law took my hand gently, and my father-in-law placed his hand over ours. Remember, my mother-in-law said warmly, your family is here. Don't make this day as of one. Come on, why don't you smile? Her kindness broke me. I couldn't help but cry. Scott stroked my hair and said, Marianne, I'm your husband now. Please stop saying your family isn't here. Seeing me cry, my in-laws and Scott tried to cheer me up. Don't cry, you're the bride. Your makeup will run, they teased, trying to make me laugh. Then my mother-in-law looked straight at me. Marianne, she said gently, your family back home might be difficult, but this life you're starting, it's a new beginning. Let's build your own family. Even though he felt abandoned, she embraced me firmly. Scott and my father-in-law joined in, surrounding me with warmth he hadn't expected. He told me, "Serve, it's okay." Just as she said, this is a new beginning. That day, I vowed to build my own happy family, and he did. 15 years passed. Scott and I had a daughter and 2 sons. Our daughter is capable, bright, and keeps an eye on her 2 mischievous brothers, who constantly mess up the house. Sometimes, when I catch myself yelling, "Stop it right now," I even surprise myself. Scott's hope was going well, we bought a house, and life felt stable and full. Then, one day, unexpected visitors appeared. It was none other than my father, my mother, and Sally. After marriage, I had deliberately kept my distance. I hadn't even given them my new address, but somehow they found our house and showed up at the door. Of course, the first words out of my mouth weren't on time no si bad. "What do you want?" "I have a favor to ask," my sister said. "It's something only you can do for us," my parents added, looking awfully sincere. He frowned. What's going on? What could you possibly need from me after 15 years? Then my mother spoke the unbelievable words. We want you to give Scott to your sister. What? Both Scott and he froze. What a minute, he said sharply. What do you mean by give Scott away? My parents turned their eyes downward, looking guilty. Only Sally kept her smug expression. She's still single, my father said hesitantly, and she's turning 42 this year. That's a problem. I don't see how that's my problem, he talked silently. He continued, her company went under recently. She's unemployed now, and we're worried about her future. You bet your time with Scott, haven't you? You've enjoyed your marriage. Couldn't you let your sister have him for the rest of her life? He stared at them in disbelief. Scott was speechless. My parents pleaded, please, Marianne, while Sally stood proudly, as if the outcome were already decided. Given how much they'd spoiled her all her life, it wasn't surprising she talked so. But this was insane. Scott took my hand gently and whispered. This might actually be a chance. Eh? Yeah, I said with a grin. It's like that joke you once made when you were drunk, coming true. He stifled a laugh. Then shall we go for it? We turned back to face my family. Do you really love Scott that much? He asked Sally. She blinked, surprised, then nodded eagerly. Yes, I really have loved him all this time. Truly? That's some the perfection, he said. To keep loving him for 15 years, even though he's another woman's husband. Yes, she cried. It's been so painful, seeing you together. It would have been me. Scott and he almost burst out laughing at her conviction battled it together. He sighed dramatically. Fine. If you love him that much. Ella stepped aside. My parents gasped. My mother quickly said, really? Don't you love Scott too? Scott turned to her and said seriously, no, actually. I've always liked Sally. Sally's face lit up instantly. Really? I knew it. You never resisted when he hugged you. Your eyes were always so loving. She looked utterly euphoric. Scott pretended to wipe tears from his eyes, but he could see his shoulders shaking with suppressed laughter. We'll always be together from now on, she said dreamily. Yes, Scott said with exaggerated sweetness. I'm happy, Sally. Please support me from now on. Of course, she said proudly. Then, Scott added casually, I quit my job. What? Her smile froze. I want to be with you all the time, Scott continued cheerfully. So I'm quitting my job to always be by your side. I won't even go outside anymore. I follow you everywhere, even to the bathroom, and watch you do housework. Her expression twisted in panic. Our parents looked just as horrified. But I'm not working either, she stammered. That's troubling. That's troubling. Scott said innocently. If we're together, we don't need money. Love is enough. But nowadays, we have to pay for things like insurance. Love don't need insurance. Scott declared. Her eyes went unfocused. He seized the moment. Well then, Scott, if we divorce, I'll be taking a generous area of the assets, right? Of course, I said smoothly. Your sister and parents can handle the payments. My parents went pale. Sally, my mother said quickly, this isn't right, stealing your sister's husband. Exactly, my father agreed nervously. That's crossing the line. What are you talking about? Sally screamed. You promised to give Scott to me. But Sally, that was before. I don't want to hear it. Don't anyone support me. She flew into a frenzy, yanking our mother's hair while my father tried to pull her away. It was chaos, complete madness. Scott, ever calm, finally said. Honestly, you're not my type. I respect you as Marianne's sister, but I'd rather not interact much beyond that. And that upward gas of yours, it actually turns me off. His bluntness silenced the entire room. But Scott, what was all that earlier? Sally whimpered. Please stop being so casual with someone else's husband, he said coldly. There is no way I could fall for you. We have a family, and we're happy. Sally's face turned white. You tricked me, she screamed. How could you believe that someone who hasn't contacted you in 15 years still loves you? He said. Be realistic. Her face flashed red with frustration. If you were truly an attractive woman, maybe. But you're unemployed, dependent on your parents, and can't manage a household because your mother's always done everything for you. At your age, that's not appealing. Scott quietly chuckled behind me. Sally burst into tears. Our parents tried to comfort her, but their confused, weary expression said it all, says hopeless. I'm not handing Scott over, he said firmly. Please give up, Sally. And don't involve us again, no matter what happens. With that, he slowly closed the front door. My children, hearing the commotion, asked, Mom, what happened? He smiled. It's Halloween season, so I guess a ghost came early. My eldest laughed. Let's exorcise it. He had to stop them, but truly, with all that crying outside, it did sound like a wailing ghost. 5 years have passed since then. Sally remained single. She found a job, but was fired for inappropriate behavior. She even caused trouble at matchmaking events and was banned for being too pushy. It seems she might stay single for life. My parents now work part-time jobs even in their old age, saving money for her. I think they've finally realized they can't rely on her for anything, not even their care. I hope they're feeling the consequences of their lifelong indulgence. As for me, I'm content. A homemaker, grateful for my children's education, our stable income, and the peaceful home we built. Sometimes, I joke that maybe working outside would be helped me burn off all those holiday calories. My daughter, now a slim teen, talks about dieting, but I tell her, you can think about that when you're older, like me. My sons, energetic and mischievous, love to dance. They even won local awards and proudly announce, we're going to be in BTS one day. I sincerely hope BTS stays together long enough for that dream. We often host my in-laws, who are as dear to me as my own parents, for dinners and laughter. During spring break, we're planning a family trip to a hot spring, eager for another chapter of warm memories. Talk the past to marriage was painful, the life that followed has been filled with joy. Proof that real family is not always the one you're born into, but the one you build with love, trust, and laughter.